Hello guys, Specimen here. I've been loving this expansion so far until today something serious has happened because some broken cards have been printed. These are just absolutely unbelievable. You might love them, you might hate them. I'm going to take a neutral standpoint to begin with, but then later on in the video I'm going to share what I think about this completely nutty combo of cards. Before I begin though, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Super close to 10,000 subscribers. I would really, really appreciate it. The first card, Blight Maker. So we've got two bronzes today. We haven't got Riance yet, who we know is going to be the legendary Mage of Nilfgaard. So we haven't got him released yet. We don't know his ability, but bear in mind we know that is coming, okay? Blight Maker. Deploy. He's 4 strength, 5 provisions. Deploy. Move a card in your deck to the top of it. If it was a mage, spawn the Guardian on this row. If it was a special card, spawn and play a cow carcass. Okay, so it's some sort of tutor for Nilfgaard. Of course, putting a card on top of your deck could be fantastic for cards like Joachim in particular. There's a lot of anti-synergy with cards like Mentors and Joachim, whereas with this card, you could feel confident about playing Mentors and Joachim in the same deck. Also, there's a lot of really good mages in Nilfgaard, and the Guardian is a 3 strength token, the one that Cynthia spawns. So Cynthia being a mage as well, that's pretty cool. So 7 for 5 while putting a mage on top. A cow carcass is the thing that the Rot Tosser spawns. It is a 1 strength spy that kills itself at the end of your opponent's turn and poisons adjacent units. So double poison potentially with this card. So this card is either a Rot Tosser for 1 point less that's putting a card on top, a special card, or it is a 7-point card split between 2 bodies that's putting a mage on top. Seems really cool, seems pretty strong. Again, being able to tutor like a Brathens or Vigo. Let's take a quick look at the other mages. Of course, we know Riance is going to be a mage as well, who maybe has some sort of synergy with being placed on top. So the mages include Mage Infiltrator, the Vikavari Novice. Now this card also has synergy with this card because this draws a card, then places a card from your hand at the top of your deck. So the Vikavari Novice is definitely a card that makes a lot of sense with this. It's quite not the best in terms of raw power, but certainly synergizes well with it. You have Mage Torturer, the Diviner Van Hamer, Olbrich, who kind of works in a similar way to this card. I'm fully expecting an Olbrich rework, to be quite honest with you. You've got Cynthia, who is spawning the Guardian, that 3 strength token. Asir, Vigo, and an absolutely amazing staple card, as well as Brathens in Nilfgaard. These two are just fantastic cards. Definitely cards you're going to want to put on top of your deck to then Joachim into them. If you didn't draw them, you're in round 3. That's going to be worth an awful lot of points, far more than just 7. We've got Fringilla Vigo. Surely she's getting a rework. We've got Isbel, we've got Exarthius, we've got Vilgefort, and of course Brathens. There's some neutral mages as well, of course. Redea, Alza, Doragray, the Yennifers, the Stregobors, the Malaspinas, the Idarans. Lots of very good neutral mages as well. But certainly the Nilfgaard ones are going to be your main targets. How good is this card? Well, just looking at it on its own with no synergies, it looks to be really good. It's also a card I would love to use in my double Madoc decks, where there's some really important cards you want to tutor in round 1. Letho being the main one that comes to mind. I could put Letho on top. Okay, this would just play as a 4 for 5, but sometimes that is just worth it, particularly in that sort of a deck. Really cool card art in this one. I love the theme. Looks amazing. But you might be wondering, Speci, why did you say what's broken about this? Nothing seems broken. Well, just wait until you see the synergy it has with the next card, because the point ceiling is through the roof. Remember, this is a 7 for 5 on a mage, okay? But then we introduce the Mage Assassin. Now, what a fantastic card art this is. This is the face of a CDPR employee, Vlad, Thor Serpent, who is the main man behind Live Ops, the Gwent esports scene. As somebody that has done some official qualifier casts for CDPR, he is somebody I've had the pleasure to talk with. Really nice dude. Really, really cool to see him having his own card in game. Wouldn't it be amazing to see a Speci card one day? We can dream. It seems unlikely though. Okay, the Mage Assassin. I'm first just going to look at this card on its own, but then when we think about the synergy it has with Blight Maker is when things get very, very, very scary. Okay? Alright, but let's be positive to begin with, because this is a really cool card. 2 strength, 4 provisions. Damage an enemy unit by 2. And that's it. It's a wolf pack. It's actually just an unironic wolf pack to begin with. and you're like, okay, if you guys have been around since the start of Gwent being we refer to as Homecoming, when it came out of beta and sort of changed from 6 rows to 4. This was like the staple bronze card, just the 4 provisions, 4 points. Wolfpack, I feel like, will remain unchanged forever to remember where we came from. Of course, cards are worth a lot more points now for 4 provisions, but I love this throwback to the Wolfpack that Mage Assassin is just a Wolfpack in disguise. But if moved to the top of your deck during your turn, summon self to a random allied row and damage a random enemy unit by 2. So if you can move this to the top of your deck during your turn, summons to the row and damages by 2. So for example, a Vicavaro Novice on this card is very, very comparable to a Scald and a Skirmisher play in Skellige. Now the Skirmishers are unbelievably well statted in SK, because you actually play Morkvarg in the discard package, which is essentially a 8 provision skirmisher. That's how good skirmishers are at 4 provisions. And the Vicavaro Novice is going to work very, very similar to a Scald in this deck, because you're thinning your deck because a card is going from your deck and being played on your board. So thinning is winning in Gwent. It's going to increase the odds on you drawing your gold cards. And yeah, with the Vicavaro Novice, you can draw a card, then place a card from your hand at the top of your deck. So if you place the Mage Assassin on top of your deck, it's going to summon, which is going to be 6 points, but then it's also going to damage a random enemy unit by 2. So, of course, you could hit armor. You might hit a 1 strength unit. So it's not necessarily as good as a Skirm into Scald play. But also, let's not forget, a Scald draws you a random card, whereas the Vicavaro Novice, you draw a card and then choose what to place back. So I guess it does work very, very similar in that sense. So that seems really cool. Thinning cards in NG, I do think it's really important for Gwent to have more thinning cards, because what that means is it's just less likely that you're going to miss cards. A lot of the time when I've been watching big esports events at the moment, some games just come down to draws, and that's going to be far less common if there's more thinning introduced. Already we've seen things like Hunting Pack, Imperial Brigade, Commandos all getting a provision deduction, done banners as well, and that's been great because there's more thinning cards as options. It's definitely just improves the skill in the game. It means that less games come down to RNG, because a lot of the time the biggest RNG in Gwent is the cards you draw, and I think that's definitely a really cool thing to see more thinning cards being introduced. However, the problem again happens when you assess Blight Maker when combined with the Mage Assassin, because this is just completely busted. The Vicavaro Novice on the Mage Assassin seems cool. Tactical Decision as well with the Mage Assassin. You could put this card on top of your deck, and in fact, you could have 2 Mage Assassins and Afan, and all 3 would summon, because, yeah, you put Afan on top, it summons. You put this next to Afan, this summons. So, yeah, you've got Afan synergy with Tactical Decision with the Mage Assassin, which is so cool. Thinning is winning. More support for that leader. Fantastic. The problem, again, is the synergy. I'm going to finally get there. Blight Maker, as we said, is a 7-point card if you put a Mage on top. So you put the Mage Assassin on top, it comes flying out of the deck. So that's 9 points, but then it's also going to damage a random enemy unit by 2, 11 points. That means you have just played a 5 provision card for 11 points of tempo and thinned your deck of a 4 provision bronze card. That means you're paying an average of 4.5 provisions, okay, for 11 tempo and 1 thinning. I would like to just compare that to competitive cards such as the Hunting Packs in Nilfgaard. This is an 8 tempo play for an average of 5 provisions, so 3 points less for more provision cost, and it thins a 5 provision card from your deck. Added to that, this is far easier to brick because you could draw both Hunting Packs, and it actually requires setup. You need to have a status on your opponent's side of the board. Whereas we look at the Blight Maker cannot brick, really. The only way you could brick is if you draw the Mage Assassin, but there's ways of playing around that with Vicavaro Novice, as we've already mentioned. You could just include one of those. So really, the Mage Assassin could be anywhere in your deck. As long as you just draw this Blight Maker, you can just thin it from your deck. No setup required. You could play it on an empty board, and it's 9 points, which is still more than Hunting Packs. Or you could play it on a board where your opponent's got a unit, and it's going to be 11 points, which is 3 points more than Hunting Pack. Doesn't require a status or anything like that. And it also is more cost effective because it's basically 9 provisions for 2 cards as opposed to 10 provisions for 2 cards. This, guys, is the most broken combo of cards I have seen in a very, very long time. Now, Reddit would be absolutely freaking out right now if this card said the word seize. If you remember Amnesty, I actually wrote a big Reddit post that got a lot of traction about Amnesty when it was announced as a 5 provision card. Of course, they then moved it to 6. The difference is, okay, this combo isn't oppressive. It's not like seizing and stealing and being annoying. It's just unbelievably well statted. I just want you guys, and this was something I saw on Reddit. I actually believe the Reddit post might have come as a result of my stream I did yesterday, because somebody played Aldrich and put Afan on top. Afan is an 8 provision card. Let me just put these 2 cards in my deck builder. We've got Afan. Again, Afan might get buffed. He's very comparable to Nilfgaard in Skellige. And they played Aldrich to put Afan on top. That was, therefore, Aldrich was 6, the Afan was 5. So that was 11 points of tempo with 1 thinning for this many provisions. That is the exact same amount as the Blight Maker and Mage Assassin combo, except it is unbelievably more expensive. And yes, okay, Aldrich and Afan kind of suck. But still, it's unbelievable when you really think about it. Now look, you look at SK, you look at Skirmishers, and you look at Scouts. Do you think Skirmishers, guys, are much of a problem? I would say no. I would say they're unbelievably well statted, but it is good to have bronze cards that have powerful abilities. But having said that, why do we have a provision system when cards are so well statted for their provision cost? Nilfgaard is so good in SK that you play him at 8 provisions as just a scald, just as a third skirmisher in the discard package. That's how good skirms are. Nobody complains about skirms. So maybe I'm overreacting, and maybe having this package of cards is just going to be fine. What do you think? For me, it seems far too good. At least it's not seized, it's not oppressive. But every single Nilfgaard deck in existence is now playing these cards. That doesn't seem very fun to me. For me, this is the biggest disappointment of the expansion so far. I've absolutely loved the cards that have been revealed. They look balanced, they look fun. Some maybe look weaker than others. This is just too much though. 11 tempo for an average of 4.5 provisions, and you're thinning the deck, is just ridiculously strong. Just my thoughts. Sorry to be negative. It's not what I want to be doing, but I have to be honest with you guys, not a fan. However, what I will say, what an absolutely bloody amazing design of a card. Super cool, and so is this. I think this as a card is really amazing, and every faction could do with a Skirm type card, a Mage Assassin type card. I think it's really cool. But this is too much. This is just too much for too few provisions. Way too good. And yeah, that's just my thoughts. Having said that, okay, it's good to have better bronze cards. I know a lot of you guys are going to like this. Please share your thoughts with me. I'm only being honest. The only reason I'm being negative about these cards is because, yeah, I care about the game. And as soon as I saw this, kind of killed my mood, honestly. I was like, oh, these seem way too good. But again, love the design of this card. I think it's amazing. Love the design of this card. It's just the maths on the card would suggest they are massively overtuned. Not slightly overtuned, but massively. The fact they're that much better than things like hunting packs, which are already competitive, says all you need to know. Okay, well, let's wait and see what the rest of the Nilfgaard cards have to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Join the discussion in the comments below. Also, check out my Discord. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, interested on this one to hear your thoughts. I guess before I should go, we have got the flavor text of these as well. Blight Maker. In an attempt to manufacture a superior grapevine, the Emperor's botanist stumbled upon the creation of a malignant alchemy, and thus was sown the seed of a scheme most sinister. So a Blight Maker is somebody that uses botany as a weapon. Maybe they're going to make a new mushroom that's going to turn your whole family into rats or something like that. Of course, that's not going to happen. But you know what I mean. I know if you've watched the Witcher Netflix, Triss in that uses a spell that with some mushrooms. It's that kind of a thing. Triss was a bit of a Blight Maker in the Netflix series. And the Mage Assassin, which is of course Vlad. Love this card art. Actually looks different, the card art here in the still compared to this one. So in the premium, this Thunder certainly is going to be on this dude, and I look forward to it. Also kind of reminds me of Cyberpunk, one of the scenes in Cyberpunk. If any of you have played that, I'm sure you might know what I'm talking about. And the Mage Assassin, his card text is: somewhere deep within Nilfgaard's Imperial Archives is a manuscript titled 47 Ways to Kill a Man. It's a surprisingly jovial read. Man, I have no idea what jovial means. Let me know in the comments below what it means. So many of these words from the card text on these Gwent cards, I have to Google and find out. But I'm not going to do that right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice one. See you soon. Looking forward to the rest of the Nilfgaard reveals. Sorry for being negative, CDPR. I love you, but this is too much. It's too much. But at least it's not amnesty, you know. It's not oppressive. Whatever. Goodbye, guys. Much love.